can see, we have our do it now ready to go. So I appreciate you getting your composition notebooks out right away. And what I'm gonna do, this one's gonna be fun. So I'm gonna read it to you to help you guys out. So not only will you be able to read it, I'll read it out loud to you guys. If you have any questions, you can raise your hand, okay? So have you ever helped write the rules for a game or an activity? How detailed were the rules? Was it difficult for the members to agree on the rules? How did you feel about the rules? So you're gonna open your notebooks and you're gonna write one paragraph answering these questions, okay? And if you have not developed a game on your own, think about a game you've played before that you can talk about when you're ready.
Sorry, guys.
It's a little embarrassing. Welcome to class. So write down the rules, any problems that you might have had playing the game or when you created the game. Good start, guys. Take deep and try to really think about this game that you played. Any difficulties you might have had playing it. Looks like you're just about done. Good job. Give you guys a couple more minutes to wrap up your thoughts. And I'm going to share one of yours, so make sure you have good details. Okay, I'm going to give you another 11 seconds, starting now. 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pencils down, eyes back on the board. Good job, thanks Tia. Jack wrapping up his thoughts. Good job, both of you. Okay, so we're going to have Tia share her thoughts on this. What did you write down, Tia?
Said I haven't written the rules for a game, but I have played some games. One game that I played is Knockout. The rules are very detailed. You have to shoot from a certain spot, and you have to wait until the person in front of you shoots before you can shoot. You also have to try and get your ball moved before the person behind you shoots. And that's all I got.
Good. Did you find any difficulties when you played that game? What were some of the rules that you guys had troubles with? Or would you have written other rules?
The shooting. People were, I don't know, maybe it's just like cheating. I don't know if that's the same thing as the rules are difficult.
So players were,
Yeah, there's a lot of confusion with some of the rules, so it was kind of like some people got it, some people didn't, so it was.
I played that game.
Yeah.
It's really fun, but
Yeah.
it is confusing because the person behind,
Yeah.
you gotta have the ball to shoot.
Mhm.
Sometimes the person behind can shoot before the person in front, but not all the time.
Yeah, it's like once they like it leaves their hand, then the
Then
person
the
behind
person-
them will go,
Yeah.
and then sometimes it's like if you get out and the person who gets you out, you go back in, kind of thing. I don't know, it's just
okay.
different rules.
So would you say there was any flaws in that game? Or do you think it was just the perfect written game? gonna see what Jack has now. I have this. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna go over what Jack wrote down now, okay? So I'm gonna show you guys this. So Jack wrote, I have played football. There's 11 players on each side. You cross the line with the ball to score. The opposing team stops you from scoring by tackling, and when a player falls, the play is dead and needs a restart. So you can see how he really numbered these and really made each step of the game. Good job, Jack. So we can also use that strategy of writing and writing on our ideas before we write the paragraph. So good job, Jack. Did you see any flaws in the game of football or any rules you'd like to change?
Well, a lot of people say that there's a lot of health concerns with tackling, and so there may be flaws in that department. But at the same time, that's a key aspect of the game, so it's kind of difficult to handle.
So if there was a rule to write and change in that game of football, what was the rule you would change? You're saying that.
I don't know, because the side of me wants to just say tackling is fine, doesn't really matter how you do it, but then they're saying that because of your health that you can't tackle certain ways.
Okay. You would change some things in it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you, both of you, for doing that lesson. So this is going to go into what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about the Articles of Confederation. And we're going to talk about its strengths and weaknesses and the flaws that were written in it. So we've already discussed how the 13 colonies were created, and now each colony after the war, Revolutionary War that we just discussed, they started to individualize, so each state wanted to do its own thing. And so they had to create the Articles of Confederation. Okay, so we'll go into that. So moving on, we will go over the outcomes of today. Tina, would you like to read the outcome?
Students can write a summary about the Articles of Confederation using 3 examples from the drawing and text.
Okay, so really pay attention to the drawing when we go over it and the text when we read it. And then at the end of class, this is our objective to pick today, is you will be writing a paragraph using the statement, I believe the Articles of Confederation are weak because, or I believe the Articles of Confederation are strong because. So be thinking of that as we go over our lesson today, because that will be the end, your summative assessment, okay? You guys all right with that? Thumbs up? Check, okay, good job. Okay, but first off, we have to define what the Articles of Confederation are, so we're gonna start with that. And Jack, can you please read that definition?
Definition. The original Constitution of the U.S., which was ratified in 1781, which was replaced by the U.S. Constitution in 1789.
Okay, thank you. And then Tia, do you see another word in there that we might have to define? Maybe it might be confusing to you.
Ratified.
Ratified, good. So I wrote that on the board under the agenda. So this is our definition for today. So this is another word of the day. So do you want to read just the brief definition?
Sign or give formal consent.
Okay, so ratify, sign, or give consent to something, to this document. Okay, so you'll hear that word and you'll read that word a lot today. Okay? Okay, so this is a game I know you guys like to play. It's called Time to Be Historians. And so if you'll take out here, or just put a line underneath your piece of paper on your composition notebooks. And do you guys remember how to be a historian? Jack, what questions do we ask if we're going to try to be a historian?
Who, what, where, when, why?
Good job. So today we're going to focus on the why, when, and who. I want you guys to read this individually, and when you're done, I want you to turn and talk about if you can find these out, okay? So look for that, the why, the when, and the who. So take a minute and read that silently, and then I want you guys to turn and talk and see if you can write down what those are. Give you guys a couple minutes to do that. So you guys are becoming experts at being historians.
was history so complicated in high school? I think it was the teacher.
I
remember
loved
thinking-
history in high school.
You did?
Freaking my history teacher's bomb.
You're just my
But like I took it. Oh, sorry, we're recording.
Mine was on
Can
the
I answer that?
I hit
Mine must have been not too good, cause like I've heard of the Articles of Confederation, but to be honest with you, I did not know what it was until Shane just read that.
Same here.
I didn't know it preceded
I'm
the
like,
Constitution.
wait, what? You guys seen that?
Okay, looks like you guys are ready. Let's give you 5 more seconds to wrap up those writings. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good job. Okay, Jack. Let's answer the why. Underline this.
Why? So why? What?
Why what? So why was the Articles of Confederation?
Oh, okay. They were written to unify the government, to give a sense of unity.
What would I underline in this?
So,
Okay.
yeah, to give, yeah, unify government. I think that's good.
Okay, good job.
Sufficient.
And then when were they written? About what time period? That's what we're asking, not just dates, but like when.
The Revolutionary War.
Revolutionary War. Good job to you. So what one do we have left? Who? Did you guys work together and say the who at the same time? Who was the who?
Continental Congress.
Good job. So we identified the why, the when, and the who. The why these were written. It was the when was during the Revolutionary War. The who was the unified government, and the why in the Continental Congress. Sorry. Yeah.
I think the Continental Congress, is that kind of what the United States called themselves before they were a nation?
Yeah, it was those that got
Cause I know it
together.
was the Continental Army that's their name, right?
Yeah.
During the Revolutionary War. George Washington was the leader of the Continental.
Yeah, George Washington. Yeah. I think I think you're on the right path.
Yeah, I think you just need to clarify the Continental
Congress.
was preceded the formal United States name.
Okay.
name.
You're right. So that's preceded the United States, and what we're gonna go into today is this all precedes the Constitution. So everything that happened before the Constitution was officially written. So good job, guys. So you become historians. You did a really good job on that part. And so now we're gonna move on to the next portion of our lesson. Okay. Okay. First off, I'm going to start reading this out loud. Gives us some more information about the Articles of Confederation. And I'm going to start reading this, and then I'm going to have you guys join on. So we're going to use the expressive voices. I want you guys loud and proud. And I also want you guys to do me a favor. Remember start slang. Can you guys show me that? Good job. Okay, so now we're ready to read. So I'm going to start this out, okay? So then I'll pick on you to continue. So the Articles of Confederation was the first written constitution of the United States, stemming from wartime urgency. Its progress was slowed by fears of a central authority and extensive land claims by states before it was ratified on March 1st, 1781. And Tia, if you over there, under.
Under these articles, the states remain sovereign and independent, with Congress serving as the last resort on appeal of disputes. Congress was also given the authority to make treaties and alliances, maintain armed forces, and coin money. However, the central government lacked the ability to levy taxes and regulate commerce.
Okay, stop right there and Jack, finish off that paragraph.
Issues that led to the Constitutional Convention of 1787 for the creation of new federal laws.
Okay, so that leads us into a little bit more information before we go into our secondary source today, okay? Do you guys have any questions? Do you see anything new that we can underline that you guys have noticed? Means sovereign or means like their own, like remain their own.
Like independent.
It's just another way to say independent of sovereign states. So the states remain to have their own. The states really wanted to be their own. They didn't want to be a national government anymore. They wanted to be a state. They wanted to stay away from the national because they just broke away from England and they're afraid that they're going to become like England again. Good. That was a good question, Tia. Okay. So we're going to move on. Okay. Thanks for picking up.
Can you imagine that from that time, when their purpose was to stay sovereign as states and only come together upon when they really needed? Can you imagine from that time in 1786 or 1787 when the Constitution was written to now? Think how much power has shifted from the people to the government
It's good.
to now. I mean,
It's a good thought. It's totally shifted.
yeah, that's the goal of some people. Huh?
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, so we're gonna move on. So that was just kind of a leader into what we're gonna do today. And so we're gonna really analyze this this drawing, the secondary, what they call this, they still call it a political cartoon, okay? So let me put it up on the screen too. This is called, actually I can't give you too many details in here because I want you guys to figure it out on your own. So this is a political cartoon that came out, kind of depicting the Articles of Confederation. And it focused on the strength and weaknesses, but I want you guys to really figure out what it focused on, kind of look at the whole picture as a whole and kind of analyze, pick it apart, and see what you guys can come up with when you're looking at it. So you guys have them both in front of you, and then we're gonna answer those questions that are on there, and I'm gonna have you guys share what you found, okay? So go ahead and take a look at it, and then we're gonna go over it as a class. Okay, if you come up with one of the questions, why don't you turn and talk to your neighbor? Why don't you give them one if you guys share your ideas? And then we're gonna discuss, okay? So if you've got one, Tia's got a couple already, thoughts. Good job, guys. And we're gonna further discuss this too, so we can analyze it.
Shane, can you go back to that previous slide while they're finishing up?
Yeah. Okay, let's put pencils down and eyes up to the front. And let's go over this briefly before the bell rings today. Okay. Good job. Thanks for writing your name. Period, Jack. Okay, so just like we can pull information from a written text or a primary source. We can also pull information from a picture, a political cartoon, artwork. How many of you guys think we can do that? Raise your hand if you think that's a possibility. Okay, we can. So what are some of the things that you picked out? Answering that first question, Jack.
In the first question, I saw, so what do you think this cartoon means? Well, I saw that there's a ship getting wrecked, basically, with a bunch of waves. So I think, and the ship is titled The Articles of Confederation. And so I just feel like it means that the Articles of Confederation aren't able to handle the problems that are coming at it.
Good. And what are some of those problems? Just name one of the ways.
No power to collect taxes.
Do you feel that's a strength or a weakness?
It's probably a weakness.
Tia, what's your thoughts on that one? What do you think the cartoon means?
I said it meant that people were kind of wary of the Articles of Confederation and they weren't sure if this would be a benefit to them. I like read sailing ahead with the question, so I felt like it was kind of like a, like, is this really gonna help us or is this gonna hurt us? So I was kind of just like trying to figure out, this is, the pros and cons of the Articles of Confederation.
Good, that's perfect. The pros and cons, the strengths and weaknesses. And I'm glad that you pointed out the writing on the bottom because political cartoons can also give us clues through writing about what the political cartoon, which leads into our next question. Why did the artist create this cartoon? So the artist created this because of the flaws that were in the Articles of Confederation. So he wanted the people to know that there was rough sailing ahead. And so each wave represents, like you guys went over, each of the flaws that were in it. So the waves were coming at the ship and trying to sink the ship. You can see the waves were they big? Good job. Thank you. So we're gonna turn this in into class. And then what I want you guys to do before we leave today is come up to the board. Actually, I'm gonna give you a second here. So if you had one thing, so this is just our closure before you leave. If you had one thing you would add to the Articles of Confederation, what would it be? So just please think about one thing you'd add or one thing, since we went over more of the weaknesses, what's one thing that you would, or one weakness that you, or just share your thoughts on a weakness or one thing. If you can come up with one thing you can add, or one thing you'd add to the Articles of Confederation, which was the first constitution of the 13 colonies. And it looks like we have a minute, so instead of writing on the board, let's just have Tia share what you wrote. What's the thing you'd add to the Articles of Confederation if you wrote, if you were to rewrite the Articles of Confederation?
We just have a limit on the power that the government has. Like, they can say stuff, but then there's also could be like an overruling with the 13, like if they don't agree with. But yeah.
Good. So more power to the people.
Yeah.
Less power to the
Just
government.
like I feel like government, it could be like corrupt, so it could be like totally down, but having power, so just in case it does, there's power of the lower people to kind of like
So checks.
overrule.
Checks and
Yeah.
balances. Jack, yeah.
Yeah.
And Jack,
How would
you're
we
up.
do that? I wonder.
How would we do that?
Having,
Sufficient?
well, I don't know, like big scriptures. Like the Book of Mormon where they had like,
Three-headed government.
yeah, like there's like the person, but there's also like a committee of people that are also like under them. But if there's something that the head does, like they don't agree with, they can overrule it with a certain amount of people, kind of a thing.
It's good. So we're
I
gonna.
don't know.
That's perfect, Tia,
Something
because
like that.
what you just said will lead us into our next lesson, which is on the Constitution of the United States. So that was good. That was good. That's what we wrote this closure for. Jack, just share your thought real briefly. You guys can back up and.
One thing I would add is the ability to raise an army, because it's obvious that this nation had just gotten out of a war, and knowing the history of the world, war is a common phenomenon, and so it would be wise to have the ability to raise an army. But if you don't have that, it could be a dire situation for your country.
Perfect. Good job.
I agree too, because I think the power to collect taxes could stay with the states. The court system could stay with the states. I mean, they could figure those things out themselves. But the army, at some point, may need to be required,
Right.
not choice.
It's true. Yeah, we'll still need an army. We can't get rid of that. We need it for protect ourselves against other countries, against ourselves, maybe. Okay, thank you guys for coming today. You just hand those in on your way out. Great job.